Has the recent market volatility put your retirement plan to the test? See if your retirement is still on track by scheduling a retirement checkup with Lauren Merkel. During this 15-minute phone call, we'll discuss if your retirement plan could be disrupted by long-term market volatility. We'll also analyze your current tax plan and provide strategies on how to take advantage of the market. Go to merkelplan.com and click Book Now to schedule your retirement checkup today.
The morning news on YourIowa.com is brought to you by the Commission on U.S. Territories, striving for equal representation around the globe, and by Keep Iowa First, committed to keeping the Iowa caucuses the first in the nation contest in selecting the presidency of the United States. And now, here's your host, Brent Roske.
Good morning, everyone. It is Tuesday. It's going to be in the 50s here in Iowa, but just in a little bit, we'll be on live with San Diego. Ensign Molly Sanders is actually from Ames, Iowa. She's now serving in the United States Navy. We're going to chat with her. Thanks to Admiral Mike Franken for putting that connection together. A great headline from the Des Moines Register back in 2014 was "Ahoy! Ames basketball player Molly Sanders commits to Navy." So we're going to chat with her in just a second. The Oscar nominations came out yesterday, and this show has an Oscar connection. Irene Sue, co-stars in Over the Moon, was a guest on this program. Will be coming back on this show to chat with us. So congratulations to her and all the folks at Netflix. They got 35 nominations for Netflix. So the landscape of entertainment is changing. A little later in the show, Brit Slater last week, she taught us how to make a cake in a mug. This week, she's going to teach you how to make lattes at home. It's going to be a lot of fun. Folks, do you know where your stimulus check is? The IRS has a tool. I'm going to post it just at the end of the show here. I'm going to put it up on the Twitter account, but apparently it works. Apparently, I'm getting my stimulus check tomorrow, so if that works, then it works, but it seems pretty cut and dry. We're going to do some quick news headlines, but before we do that, there's my buddy Matt Del Negro, who's co-starring on Showtime's City on a Hill. There he is with Kevin Bacon, and just because, here's a clip of a still frame of Matthew from our movie Chasing the Hill. Matt Del Negro's show, City on a Hill, Showtime Season 2 launches a week from Sunday, and Matt's going to be on next Friday talking about that and what else he's up to out in the world of Hollywood. Speaking of Hollywood, Friday, if you missed it, there's CJ Perry in her new movie with Bruce Willis. She was on Friday. It's called Cosmic Sin. It's one of these sci-fi fun movies. You're going to want to check that out. That is out now, but my interview with CJ is posted now. And then later this week, there's my buddy Sally Kirkland, won a Golden Globe, nominated for Best Actress Oscar, and her and I are at an Oscar party a few years back. I took her. She's going to be on later this week talking about the Oscars and her incredible true story of getting nominated and what that means. And as I mentioned, Ensign Molly Sanders, she's going to be coming up in just a couple minutes here, Public Affairs Officer for the U.S. Navy from Ames, Iowa. So happy to have Miss Sanders on the program. So talking about the virus, yesterday I touched on this and just real quick, Associated Press, and the headline says it all. Virus tolls are similar despite governors' contrasting actions. Now, this is important to me. I'm trying to do my best to just report facts and report, take away the spin if possible. What they did is Associated Press compared Florida to California, and they looked at the numbers, and they're saying despite their differing approaches, because California had a pretty strict lockdown, California and Florida have experienced almost identical outcomes in COVID-19 case rates. And to me, it's all about the numbers. Governor of California did a speech in Dodger Stadium, which has 56,000 seats, which is roughly how many have passed away in California. One seat represents every person that has sadly passed away. But look at, state populations. Florida, you're looking at 21.5 million, has suffered 32,000 deaths. California, 39.5 million folks live there, have had 56,000 deaths. And that's right around 0.67, 0.68 death rates. It's almost identical. One was 27th and one was 28th in the ranking as far as states for coronavirus death rates. And Iowa is a similar number as well. 3.1 million people live here in Iowa and 5,600 deaths. So, we're going to do our best to learn what we can from the pandemic. And moving forward, nobody necessarily likes to wear a mask, folks, but if you're going to be in a group, if you're going to especially be indoors, please wear your mask. Do what you can to cut down those numbers. China, Axios is reporting this morning, China drive to dominate space internet. So we were up at the in-laws' house in Decorah, Iowa, just a few weeks ago in the driveway there, and we looked up and we saw all the new SpaceX satellites. Have you seen this? They're just releasing them in batches. Well, they're going nuts with the satellites. China's StarNet could launch. Okay, how many satellites is China going to launch in the next 5 to 10 years? How many satellites? China is looking to launch 10,000 satellites in the next 5 to 10 years. They basically want to own the international internet. So unbelievable. We'll see how that goes. Right after this break, we'll be right back with Ensign Molly Sanders live from San Diego. But before that, here is Emmy-winning meteorologist Jason Parkin to tell you what's going on in Iowa weather.
And the weather is brought to you by Clear Mortgage. It's going to be a mostly cloudy day, a chilly day, not quite as cold as yesterday. Maybe a raindrop or a snowflake today, but that'll be about it. And there's all the contact information if you need help with a purchase or with a refinance, as rates are still near historic lows. Here's the outlook for today. Should be at about 37 degrees by noon, with winds fairly light out of the northeast and east northeast, as you see throughout the day today. 43 degrees for your temperature at around 4 o'clock. Now, our next precipitation chance comes Wednesday and Thursday. Most of that looks to fall as rain. We may see some snowflakes mixed in at times during the nighttime hours, but 45 for a high Wednesday and 48 on Thursday. Then things start to improve, as you can see there. 50s in the forecast for Friday and for Saturday. On Sunday, high temperature near 62 degrees. And on Monday, a chance of rain to kick off the upcoming week, but still not a bad temperature given the time of year. High temperature Monday near 54 degrees.
Thanks to Jason Parker to that. And there she is live from San Diego, Ensign Molly Sanders. Thanks for being on the program today.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, truly my pleasure. And a big thanks to Admiral Mike Franken for putting this together. So we just showed the forecast. Still chilly here. We've got snow flurries on the ground, but you're in San Diego. You just got there in January. Folks, this is called successful life planning. If you can be anywhere else other than the Midwest in January, I suggest you do it. But the headline, to kind of start up the conversation, 2014 Des Moines Register ran a headline. It said, "Ahoy, Ames basketball player Molly Sanders commits to the Navy." Now, that was 7 years ago now.
Oh my God.
So you're a public affairs officer in the U.S. Navy now. Why don't you tell us how did you make that decision to go from Ames playing basketball to now serving in San Diego? I mean, that's a full stop right there. Being in San Diego would be the answer, but serving in the U.S. Navy.
So little pit stop at the Naval Academy. I committed to play basketball there, which, I mean, truthfully, is the reason I ended up there was because of basketball. I had never heard of it. Just a couple family members had served, but it wasn't anything I necessarily aspired to, and stepped on campus and absolutely fell in love with the school and just the idea of being there for something bigger than myself. So did 4 years there, played 3 years of basketball before kind of veering into a leadership position my senior year. And then we have to make a choice about what your career is going to be in the Navy. And there's only a few options. You can be a pilot, you can be a submariner, et cetera. So I actually went to flight school for a year and didn't like being in the air. I'd rather be driving in my car. And so was lucky enough to get the opportunity to switch over to public affairs, which has just been a dream.
Interesting. So, obviously some folks serve in military for just a few years, but it sounds like you're making a career of it. Is that right?
I hope so. I mean, if things keep going as they are, I love it. The opportunities are unbelievable. Like you said, I'm in San Diego in the middle of winter. Doesn't get much better than that.
It's definitely it's a strong choice. It's a real choice, and a lot of the folks in my family have been in military. My dad served in 3 different branches. My grandfather was wounded by Nazis in World War II. We've got a long history of service, but talk about lifestyle change. So you're a young person in San Diego. How much different is your day to day than someone with just a standard work at home job? I wouldn't say office job anymore, but how much different is your lifestyle now that you've made it through your first few years?
I think during normal times it wouldn't be much different. Sure, sometimes I have to go in for watch from 9 p.m. to 3 a.m., but that's rare. For the most part, I'm living a pretty normal life right now. It's a little different. We have orders from high up that we're to be home and go to work just for COVID purposes, which is the safe thing, is the right thing. But I would say during normal times, pretty normal, other than getting on a ship for 10 months at a time. But again, that's rare.
So you trained to be a pilot. Talk about that. What were you flying? What were you doing? What's that like?
So I was flying a Piper, which is just a little tiny single engine plane. And
Piper's a Cessna, yeah?
It's a version of a Cessna.
Okay.
And so did a couple weeks of schooling, and then you get up there with your instructor. And let's see, I think I did 10 flights with the instructor before he said, all right, you got it. And so I did 3 takeoffs and 3 landings by myself, which, again, you kind of expect to get this feeling, and all my friends down there had this feeling that they talked about, and I just didn't have it. So landed the plane, said, thank you so much for the opportunity. This is not for me.
Yeah, I directed a lot of shoots in helicopters, so I took a helicopter lesson and flew the helicopter. And as I was driving away, I had to pull over. I'm like, well, that was incredibly frightening. I'm never doing that again. So interesting. Yeah, people don't necessarily think of Navy as having an air fleet, but they certainly do. They land the planes on the aircraft carriers. I directed for Northrop Grumman on one of the big aircraft carriers. Incredible large vessels the Navy has access to. Talk about some of your times at sea. What is that like? What's your longest deployment out on the water?
So I haven't been officially deployed yet. I graduated from the academy in 2019, and then the year in Florida at flight school. But I spent 29 days maybe underway as a training just to see how it is. And that was on a destroyer, which is about 300 people on board, as opposed to the 4,000 or 5,000 on a carrier. And it's tight quarters. You get to know everyone very well. But it's the purest form of the Navy, if that makes sense. You're on this team that all has one mission. Everyone misses their families, but you're all there doing the same thing, and it's miserable and it's magical all at the same time. But I'll actually be heading out on a carrier for a deployment of anywhere from 6 to 10 months next year.
Wow. Yeah, my dad was Navy. He was also Army and National Guard, but he speaks with the most fondness from his time in the Navy. He really enjoyed it. So when people ask you, friends you grew up with and that sort of thing, and they say, okay, you've chosen military service, what compelled you to make that choice, and do you still stand by it?
I kind of alluded to it earlier. It's a really unpatriotic reason why I ended up there. It truly was basketball. But so I got recruited, and on my official visit, my parents came with me, and we were sitting in the hotel room after the visit, and they were like, so what do you think? Are you going to do it? And my answer was, I don't think the 17-year-old version of me wants to do this even a little bit, but I think the 30-year-old version of me would really regret it. And oh my gosh, that being 7 years ago, I'm closer to 30 than I am to 17. I do stand by that. The Navy has treated me so well. I've met best friends for life, incredible mentors. I really can't imagine a life path for me that wasn't this.
And haven't been in San Diego very long, but how is it living down there? I think is San Diego. I don't know if there is as strict a lockdown as LA County, but what's life down there in San Diego right now?
We're in the strictest tier, but rumor has it we're opening up this afternoon. Actually, we're supposed to get bumped to a lower tier, but it's so great. Honestly, walking around, like I said, we're kind of to be home or at work, but we can go for walks, go grocery shopping, and walking around. I live kind of in one of the hubs of San Diego, and just seeing all the life, and people are eating outside and going for walks and beaches, and I love Iowa. I am an Iowa girl, but this is a whole different life that's been pretty fun.
I've done quite a bit of work in San Diego. I filmed on the what the heck is that? The Queen Mary ship down there? Is that the one that's docked there in the thing? And they got the Russian submarine is there, little tourist spots. But I've done a bunch of filming in San Diego, the Gaslamp District. Directed a Subaru commercial down there. Anyway, love it. Great job getting to San Diego in the winter. And again, huge thanks to Admiral Mike Franken for putting this together. But thank you, Ensign Molly Sanders, for taking time and being on the program today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Folks, we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to be back with Britt Slater. She's going to teach you how to make lattes at home. Don't go anywhere.
School of Rock is now in session in Iowa, and we're ready to help make musicians. In our patented performance-based program, students learn music in one-on-one lessons, then have band practice in a fun, safe learning environment, all leading up to their big show. Guitar, bass, piano, drums, and vocals, our local professionals teach the skills you need to be a rock star. Come check us out and get a free lesson with no strings attached. Locations in West Des Moines and Marion. Visit schoolofrock.com to learn more and start your musical journey today.
Folks, welcome back to the show. There she is with Britt's Corner. It's Britt Slater. How are you?
What's up? How are you?
I love the lab coat. You're ready to do some experiments today. This is fantastic.
First of all, this always confuses me, my angling in this thing, because when you put it together, I'm on a photo booth, and not photo booth, FaceTime. And FaceTime is like this. Look, I'm totally out of the picture. There we go. Oh, so you have to take away yourself.
Right.
This is terrible.
Yeah, no, you got to go the other way. See, it's reverse. The software we use is back. I have trouble every day with it. So again, last week you were on. We had the first ever cooking segment. Did you know, Britt? Actually, this is the 48th edition of this program.
Oh, wow.
I mean, it's not. I know it's not a real round number. It's not like the 50th, but this is the 48th. They're coming up, so we're gonna have a special guest on the 50th, which is Thursday. But last week, you taught us how to make cake in a mug.
Yes.
And now this week, you are here to educate and entertain as well. You've got something in store for us. What's going on this week?
Okay, so everybody, welcome to my little coffee bar over here. Now, this has become something really special to me during the pandemic because, you couldn't go to a coffee shop. And listen, this is what this is about. Okay. Since the pandemic, people have really made coffee a ritual. And I've noticed this just by being on YouTube, but oh my God, I'm out of it again. What's going on? Okay. So anyway, focus on the coffee bar. That's good. You don't need to focus on me. Okay, so I've noticed this just from being on YouTube. But a lot of people have been making little lattes at home. Nespresso, that machine Nespresso is completely up. The sales of that machine are up. Lots of companies like Breville are making, I don't even know if I pronounced that right. They're making little espresso machines, just individual, those things like Keurig, things like that. And all those sales are just, through the roof. So anyway, yeah, this is my little coffee bar, and
Well, you know what you're talking about, Britt, in a very big way. People are realizing, and this is not necessarily a dig against Starbucks, but they're realizing that stuff adds up. And if you're not going out to work, a lot of times Starbucks, I used to have an office. Starbucks was right there. It was something to just get out of the office quick and all that. If you're not going into an office job and you're looking at ways to budget down and save a couple bucks, all of a sudden, that $6 at the coffee shop a day can add up. And yeah, so you're looking at ways to have the gourmet experience at the house. Now,
yes,
this is exciting. You're going to show us how to do this?
All right, exactly. I have to use a blender, which you can use anything you want. This is a candle I lit for you, especially. But so what you're going to do, you want to use a high fat milk, right? So if you cow milk, okay, that's pretty fatty unless it's skim milk. This is oat milk. This is Oatly. I'm sure you've heard of this brand maybe lately, but it's this is just their regular oat milk. I sometimes get the full fat version if I'm really wanting something frothy. But so this is, you just shake it, shake it, shake it. Let me use my little cup right here.
Is that the mug? Is that the cake mug?
Oh God, couldn't bring that in again. I'm using that especially for cakes. No, this is I think I used a different mug. Oh, I used my Iowa mug last time.
Got it.
Look how off I am in this photo. Anyway, but okay.
So now, but hold on, before we get into dog birds, I love it. So people like me, I go to the coffee shop. I say, give me the bowl of whatever today is. So a latte is basically frothy milk with coffee milk, right?
I should say I am not a coffee expert. From what I understand, a latte, so a cappuccino has more froth, right? It's like 50-50 froth and espresso. Look, watch me be totally wrong. Don't quote me for those coffee snobs out there. But a latte is like, I imagine it's sort of just more of it being a milk base, but then you've got like a couple shots of espresso in it. Not a big deal.
Okay, milk base. So you need a fatty milk, you said, an oat milk.
Fatty milk. So I would usually warm this up in the what do you call it? The microwave, but since I don't want to like do that because I already have to. Okay, so anyway, this is your milk, and here's a little tip for you. This is maple syrup, right?
Oh.
Maple syrup, not only is it super amazing for you with antioxidants, beats out honey like you'd never believe, but nobody talks about it. It's kind of expensive, so I get that. But this gives you a vanilla flavor. It does. And so you don't have to run to the coffee place to steal buy one of the pumps, the vanilla pumps, if that's your, I'm a vanilla person, but if you don't, I don't know, throw some chocolate in it. This isn't for you today then. But I'm going to use maple syrup, and you just put a little dollop will do ya. little dollop will do ya. And so then for me, oh God, speaking of this lab coat, I'm going to catch fire here. Okay. So then you're going to want to put it in a blender. For me, the reason why I put it in this thing was to warm it up. Look, I'm kind of off today.
Okay.
So then you're just going to want to blend this, and it's going to be a little loud. Now, blending is just to get it frothy, right? I mean, this is really simple. I mean, it's not perfect, but it just does what it needs to do, right? It's not. This is going to be real loud for like.
This is making the highlight reel right here, folks. This will be on the highlight reel. And then we listen to the blender. So how long do you blend for?
Okay, that'll do it. Okay, and then I should mention to you, obviously, the coffee part. So I've already made it here, Brent, but what was that?
You were fully prepped. I love it.
Yeah. So you're basically going to want to just use whatever coffee bean you want, and you're going to grind it a little bit more. So if you have if you have whole bean, grind it a lot. If you just have pre-ground coffee, grind it a little bit more. I have a coffee grinder. I already did it. And then you're gonna want to like stick it in your what do you call this? The basket, and just kind of press down with your what's this? Fist or a cup. Just compact it. What do they call that in the coffee world? Tampering or tapering?
Sure. Yep.
Yeah. So just kind of, make sure it's just make sure it's really in there good. And then you're going to want to turn it on like I did and only just put more coffee. I don't even measure stuff anymore, but just put more coffee ground for what you usually do for water. And make sure you have clean water. I used for my fridge was just filtered. And it's black. It's really black. You're not going to get the nice crema, but it's just something. It's going to be a little better for you.
So many people, and then that goes in there.
Yep, shake it up a little bit.
Oh, that's it. Like we're getting the full experience. Holy buckets. It looks like a latte.
Yeah, this one was, I probably needed to. So one of the things I should mention, I didn't warm it, but if you warm it in your microwave, the milk or cook it, whatever, that's going to help in the blending process to make it frothy. This is not as frothy. Look, I'm failing once again on this show, but it does get frothy. If you give it a good blend, or if you don't have a blender, you can use, you can give it with a real fatty milk though only. You can do, what do you call it when you make cookies? What'd you say?
A whisk?
Yes, whiskey. But with the electric mixer. Great. So anyway, this is. Oh yeah, it's great. Yeah, look, I'm not even on camera.
The reaction shot. We saw the mug. Look, it's fantastic. And again, this is Brit's Corner. This is life hacks with snacks. Mm-hmm. Really, how are you helping humanity? Look at what Brit's doing. She's teaching us how to make a cake in a mug. She's teaching you how to make a latte at home. And really, every little piece of good news and helpful news we're looking for right now. So that is incredibly helpful, making a latte at home. And, so people ask, why do I have my show so early every day? It's so when the show is finished, I go straight downstairs and make the coffee for the family. And make my wife's coffee. I ground the beans from beans, and I've never been a coffee person before, but she enjoys it. Now I enjoy it, and it's part of the little ceremony of making it and the act of doing it. It's a focusing thing. Some people play golf to center their minds. Some people make coffee, and what you're doing is the ritual of creating and everyone says cooking is fun, but cleaning up is no fun. So get the person you made the food for to clean up. Get the person you made the latte for to clean up. But Brent, thanks so much. What a fun thing.
Yeah, it just it's just special. So it makes me feel a little better. And I used to just be one of those people that just got up and drank black coffee, and that's fine too. I definitely have a palate for that as well. But this is just adds a little bit of fun. And you can get a carafe too to make little designs. It does give you pretty good foam usually, but this is just all right today, we'll say.
One of the first times you were on, Brit, we were talking about new mom tips, and you said something that I use it myself for the show. You said, just if you can, wake up a little earlier. And I've never regretted that. This program, I start at 7, but I'm usually up 5:30, 5:45, sometimes 4 to do my little prep and get it ready. Yeah. And what we're talking about here is when you can, folks. Look, we all know that you have to do what you can to get the money to pay the mortgage, to pay the rent and all those different things and buy the food. But whenever you can, find time for yourself, find time to do something kind for someone, and making a latte at home checks all those boxes. So Britt, what a fantastic idea. Thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Folks, we're going to take a quick break, and then I'll come back to wrap up the show.
There's a new spin on casual dining near Drake University. Lucky Horse Beer and Burgers. Craveable faves, flatbreads, delicious burgers, frozen cocktails, and crazy cool vibe. Get to Lucky Horse Beer and Burgers today.
Folks, that is it for the 48th edition of Your Iowa Morning. Just so grateful you're here. Again, let's just run through some of the folks we got coming up here. Matt Del Negro, there he is co-starring with Kevin Bacon in City on a Hill. You're going to want to check that out. And if you missed Friday, there's C.J. Perry with Bruce Willis. They're co-starring in a new movie called Cosmic Sin. A very fun movie, a science fiction movie. And last Friday, if you missed it, Peter Gabriel released an anti-apartheid song back in the 80s called Biko, about the activist Stephen Biko, who was sadly killed in police custody down in South Africa. There is Peter Gabriel with Beninese singer Angelique Kidjo. They redid Biko, and the producer, that Sebastian Robertson, was on this program talking about that production, an amazing production. And they filmed all over the world. They had Native American drummers and dancers. They had Michelle Indugucello, the bassist. They had Yo-Yo Ma. It was an incredible worldwide production. And Sebastian Robertson produced the music. He produced the shoot. So check that interview out. It is posted now. And tomorrow, folks, Wednesday, Lisa Marks, we're going to go through the Oscar nominations. And again, Netflix got 35 nominations. The entertainment industry is changing. I was having this conversation yesterday on how different it is. It used to be Thomas Edison was one of the first, if not the first, to make a film and then show it in a small room and sell tickets. He was one of the first to do this. Well, that business model seems to have ended. Pandemic shut down the theaters. And now you've got Netflix, who is taking tech money and buying expensive productions. You know, when I made Chasing the Hill, and I'll show a still frame of Matt Del Negro on Chasing the Hill. So the year we made that was the year that they made House of Cards on Netflix. And we had a budget, but Netflix spent $110 million on House of Cards. We just couldn't compete, you know, and at the beginning of it, before they were released, we were getting the similar kinds of press and all that sort of thing. Because Netflix they're not using it, the traditional business model of you create a piece of entertainment and then you sell it as a one-off. You sell it for DVDs, used to be. You sell tickets at the movies. What they're doing is they're making a long-term investment to get subscriber numbers up so that they can compete with HBO, etc. And now they're blowing them out of the water. They're blowing out the studios. They got 35 Oscar nominations. Now, just a few years ago, people would have said, well, I don't even know if they'll be eligible to get Oscars. But as you know, if you followed this show, I had a short film that was in the Oscar running a couple years back, and they learned, as I did, that there are different steps you can take if you're not making a traditional motion picture. And now Netflix has got the money. So the Academy and the film industry not only has embraced Netflix, but it is looking to Netflix to not only, to lead the industry. Netflix right now in Albuquerque are adding 300 acres onto what was ABQ Studios, Albuquerque Studios, which they bought for a song. The studio there in Albuquerque was built, I think it was 2011, spent $91 million. Netflix come in just a few years ago, bought it for 30 pennies on the dollar. And now they're adding basically a whole new city out there. So Albuquerque, New Mexico is going to be the new Hollywood. But 35 Oscar nominations for Netflix. And again, if you watch this program, it's posted. Irene Tsu co-stars in the now Oscar-nominated Best Animated Picture, Over the Moon. It's on Netflix. It's a lovely little movie about building a spaceship in your house and the power of dreams and the power of having goals and all those magical things. So congratulations to Irene on being in an Oscar-nominated film. And thank you, folks, for watching the 48th edition of this program. Thursday is the 50th episode. We're going to have on a special guest that we're going to keep special up until then. Thank you for watching. We'll see you back here tomorrow to get a whole rundown on the Oscar nominations with Lisa Marks all the way from the UK. We will see you then.